So, as excited as I am to show you my Apple Tablescape, I'm back to the craft room and I want to show you how I'm going to make my napkin rings. These are shower curtain rings from Walmart, just a couple bucks. I'm not even sure if these are $2 for 12 of them. So we're going to open these up and take out 3. And all I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to snap them together. See how each one goes together? Like so. You don't want to leave them open. And then I'm just going to take a bead of hot glue right around there and stick this right on top with the opening in the same spot on each one. And just press that down. Just keep them lined up as close as I can. And it does not matter, mine don't match perfectly, but it's okay. And then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do another layer. You could make these really thick if you wanted to, if you found some beautiful ribbon that you wanted to wrap around them. But we're just gonna do that. And of course I'm going to do this 6 times because I'm going to have 6 place settings at my table. So I'm going to let that cool like it is, but that is going to be my napkin ring. And they're a little bigger than a lot of traditional napkin rings, but I'm going to use 2 napkins in them, and you'll see when we set the table how pretty they're going to look. These little apples, you can see the size of it in my hand, are what I'm going to use on them. But before that, I bought this pretty kind of golden shimmery satin ribbon. This is 7/8 of an inch wide, 21 feet long, okay? And it takes me about 46 inches, just so you have an idea. Probably not quite that much, but I always want to have a little, I'd rather have a little extra than not enough to cover this, okay? So let's move the apples aside. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue right in here. I'm going to take the end of my ribbon and just tuck it right in there and push it right down into the glue. See how I've done that? Okay? And then simply wrap. Pull this through and wrap the ribbon around. And no one will ever know that what you started with were shower curtain rings. So I'm just going to wrap this around and repeat this 6 times so that I have all of my napkin rings ready to go. And then we can move out and start on how I'm going to build my centerpiece. That will be the next step. You have a little extra like I do with this one, I'm just going to keep wrapping it. That won't hurt anything to have a little extra padding on that. Now my end would end up here. Oh, it ends just inside but not quite enough because I don't want that unfinished end inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it and then I'm going to tuck it like that. So the end inside, if you can see that, is finished. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of glue right inside. I didn't use any other glue on the outside. I don't want that leaking through the ribbon. And just going to push that right down in the glue. There we go. And actually, depending upon what ribbon you got, you could use this for your napkin ring. You wouldn't need anything more, would you? But I'm really going for this apple themed for fall. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, almost looks like it's an engagement ring for like Snow White. I'm gonna put an apple right on there. Same thing, just a little bit of hot glue right there. And then stick my apple right on it, okay? And then my napkin ring is all ready to accept napkins and go on my table. I want to get started and show you how I build a centerpiece. And how I'm going to build the centerpiece for this. I'm going to start this with a tray, but before I do that, so I guess actually I'm starting with this. I have this gorgeous moss mat. Now this is not as dirty as the moss pieces that you will buy, and I'm going to use this like as a table runner. I have used these in the past. I did an Alice in Wonderland table where I used this. Okay. I got a little foam in there. So obviously this table is going to have to be cleaned thoroughly before I set it, after I have my centerpiece set. And see, this has like fabric on the back of it, so it's not just dirt on the back of it. And this is a table for 6, but I want everyone to have plenty of room. So let's see how long I feel like I need to leave this. I mean, I would like to keep it so that I can use it in the future. Yeah, I think I can use the whole thing so that I don't have to cut it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Actually, I think I am going to cut the end because I'm not sure it's going to lay flat. But anytime you want, yeah, there we go, a real woodsy look, this is what you want to use for your table runner. So the items I have gathered so far, and I'm just going to pull the chairs out of the way, I would recommend you do that, is I have a whole bunch of artificial apples, and I have this kind of rustic wood tray. Now, one of the things I want to go and do right now, and I'll show you why, is I want to choose my placemats because I don't want my centerpiece in the way of my placemats. So let's see how it's going to look with the placemats. There are several things I'm really going to miss from Pier 1, but one of them is their amazing chargers and placemats. And to me, these just look like they came from the apple orchard. So let me move the other parts of my centerpiece out of the way and see how these are going to work. And they're going to go up on the edge of there. So even though I thought I was going to use this tray, I'm not sure that's going to fit. So see how things can change? Because these are going to overlap our runner. I have rolled out this mossy mat, and now I'm placing my placemats, which are these beautiful twiggy, grapevine-y placemats, almost a charger, that I think really start to give that woodland feel. So I guess we're going to the woods to pick apples. Look out, Snow White. To continue with my woodland feel, I have a couple of these risers that are these boards, you know, that are like a slice. And I am just going to put one of them right here. I'm just using a cardboard box to prop that up. And I'm going to use a couple of bowls for this one. And I want to tuck them pretty close to one another. Now, it's important that we hide this. So, time to bring out the Spanish moss. And I'm gonna wanna be as careful as I can with this because you know it's gonna make a mess. So one of the tricks is you can pull out how much you want and cut it. Just like that. You don't need to keep pulling. And I'm just going to take this and tuck it in between and underneath these wood slices. And then I'm gonna add a little more to our runner, both directions. So just pull a little bit of that out, like so, and tuck it in to hide whatever you're using to elevate your slices of wood, okay? Next, I have some peat pots, you know, for starting plants in. And again, I felt that they really went with my woodland feel here. So I'm going to tuck one at either end. But before I do that, I'm going to tuck a little bit of this Spanish moss inside and have it kind of pulled out, like so. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. In there, like someone gathered them and they're tumbling right out onto the table. And you can fool around with these and fuss with them till you get them exactly how you want them to be. A little cheat, if you can't get them to sit the way you want, you can always use a little double-sided tape to stick them where you want. No one will be the wiser unless they try and pick them up, okay? All right, I'm going to go to the kitchen and oh, there's something else I wanted to add. I wanted to add some of this twine around these peat pots. I forgot that I had it out here. So let's just take another one. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this around, 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 around. Whoops, that was not going to go another time. And just tie it with a knot. No bow, nothing fancy. Again, give it a little bit of that more rustic feel, okay? I'm going to replace these with the one that I have tied. So you can see, even as I'm doing something, I change my mind, I mix things up. So don't be afraid, even if you had a plan, like I was sure I was going to use that gray tray. Sometimes things are going to go a little differently. Alrighty. My next step here is I want to incorporate the rest of my runner, and I'm going to use these branches, and these are artificial branches. They are not real, but if you have some branches, as long as you're sure there's no bugs on them, you don't want bugs on your dining table. I'm just going to tuck those right there, and that will make a nice place to nestle some more apples and some more of the moss, okay? There we are. Make sure you use a variety of sizes of the apples. That gives it a lot more interest. So you can see we have so many textures and we have levels. Those are two of the important things when it comes to styling a creative tablescape. And I've chosen a theme. So you may or may not want a theme. You may want to dress it up for a holiday. Now I'm going to add some up here. But I have something else special that I'm going to add up here that I'm going to make with some real apples. But adding some artificial apples with the real ones will make them all look like they are real, okay? One of my favorite things to do when styling a special table is to incorporate my chandelier over my table. So I have moved my chairs away from the table, and I'm going to move this and focus on the chandelier so you can see what I'm going to do with it for this tablescape to incorporate it and theme it to coordinate with the table. Down with apples on it at Michael's, and I've gone to a couple others and gone online and couldn't find any more, but I would love to have had these. So I'm going to save this one to feature before I'm done. And what I've got is I have pipe cleaners. They're nice and soft and fuzzy. They won't scratch my chandelier. And instead of the apple ones, I picked up these pretty green leaves that are very similar to apple tree leaves that seem to be starting to turn. So I'm going to climb up here on my step ladder. And some of these I may not even have to use the pipe cleaners to attach them. And just bending the stems, I can seem to, and I want to hide the long part of the stem as much as I can. So this one, I'll probably just do this one right around this light so it doesn't fall off. Probably the prettiest one of these I ever did was with wisteria hanging down. It was gorgeous for a spring table. But I'm just going to keep adding these on and give it like a natural look, okay? do the mix, you know, tying in just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and start my place settings. I am going to be adding a little more to my centerpiece, but you'll see later why I don't want to add that until the end, okay? I have selected these Better Homes and Gardens brown plates. I'm going to use those, and then I'm going to top them with these pine cone and pine sprig trimmed bowls. That's a cream soup bowl, and I am planning on serving a butternut squash and apple soup. So that will be what I want to serve there. Bring that soup to the table in a tureen and serve it at the table, so I don't need to worry about serving it up in the kitchen. If you wanted to serve it in the kitchen, what you could do is, but you want your guests to sit down to this pretty table, is you could set your table like so, and then if you have enough bowls, which I happen to have plenty of this pattern of dishes, what I could do is I could fill the bowls and bring the bowls to the table, and as I bring them to the table, I could remove the extra bowls. And that way you probably, even if you had 8, you know, as you bring 2, you could take 2 bowls and fill them in the kitchen. For my stemware, I have selected these 2 glasses because I want to use this red glass closer to I'm not going to probably put it where it belongs, but this will be our water glass, and these green glasses with the leaves and the grape pattern engraved on it will serve as our wine glasses. So I'm going to go ahead and add my stemware to the table. Again, I'm tucking these a little bit around the edge from where they would normally go because of the thick padding of my table run. Time to get moving with those fun napkin rings we started with making, and as you can see, I've used red and green, but it's not at all a Christmassy looking tablescape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out my green napkin like so, and then I have these red, they're all really more burgundy napkins, and I'm going to lay them out on the opposite like so. Then I'm going to just pick it up in the middle, and I like that layered look, and we will just pull the apple napkin rings right on. So I will repeat that, and then I'm going to set these right in the bowls for my guests. So I've moved to the kitchen because I'm going to carve some apples. I wanted to use the apples, and I'm finding the ones that will sit the straightest, to set candles down in them. So I'm just going to take my knife. You could probably use a melon baller or a grapefruit spoon for this same thing. I have not polished any of these apples or wash them off because I want them to look as natural as possible. And let's try the candle down in there. And these are the little votives that are like tea lights. That's all I will need for dinner. I won't need it to burn any longer than that. And I'm just going to keep carving until I have it large enough for my candles. And then I'm going to mix these in with my centerpiece to make them, to nestle them down in with the artificial apples. Okay, I have the hole on the top big enough, but now I need to have the edges go straight down. This is probably some delicious little pieces of apple I could be snacking on here. want them to sit down far enough that you're not going to see the actual candle, just the, so that's how I want them to look. There we go. Just like that. And now I'm going to repeat that again. I'm looking for the apples that are going to sit the flattest. So now that I have my apple candle holders done, I brought them all in from the kitchen, and I'm going to add them to my tabletop like so. And I'm also going to mix in a couple of real apples into the decor. If you have a source for inexpensive apples and aren't going to use them again for another project, you might want to do this whole thing with real apples. But I'm going to tuck some of them up here on our wood platforms with a little bit of height. And even if your apples don't sit straight, just make sure that the candles are level so that they burn properly for you. And I'm not anywhere near done, so hang on here. I'm going to tuck some down on the moss. I'm going to put 3 more over here on this one. Again, I'm just mixing them in with the artificial apples. And you can use as many of these as you want. I decided that 8 was plenty. 3 on each of my risers and 1 on each end of the table. Now I have one more, I have a little bit that I trimmed earlier of the foliage, the silk foliage. And make sure if you're using real candles that you do not tuck it where it can get burned. Don't want any fires, but I'm going to tuck this foliage in around my real apples, again, to give it a little bit more of a realistic touch. And again, make sure that they are not anywhere near where they are going to catch fire. To get that one where I really want it. Let's see if this one will lay there. There we go. If one doesn't work, try another one. And we're just going to nestle those leaves right in there. And I think our table is finished. Time to light the candles. You want to light those right before your guests arrive or right before you invite them to the table. So let's go ahead and show you how they're going to look. There we are, along with the chandelier that I dimmed a little bit. Those apples offer a wonderful warm glow to our tablescape. So I hope you've enjoyed this tablescape. I look forward to sharing more with you. Please subscribe to the video and let me know what other tables you'd like me to style. Thanks for watching.